Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the second Sitecore user group meetup this year. Today we have Ahmed Okour, technical manager at AmericanEagle.com. He's going to talk about accelerate your Sitecore development with GenAI. So, Ahmed, welcome, and you can start.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Mohammed. And welcome, everyone, to my first user group with Jordan user group. I think maybe it's not the second time so far, but like this is the first time in 5 years. So I consider it my first time with the Jordan user group. All right. So a little bit about myself. I'm a Sitecore technical manager with American Eagle. I have over 13 years experience working with Sitecore. I'm 7 times Sitecore technology MVP. Hopefully, I will get it next year. So if Sitecore is listening to this user group, so make sure they take notes. All right, so next, I'm just going to go over the agenda that we have today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the introduction about GenAI and LLMs. I'm going to talk also about ChatGPT prompt engineering and custom GPT, and also like other use cases for AI, things like you're directly using it with their APIs. Like I'm going to use OpenAI as an example for this. A while back, I did build a small website that helps convert Sitecore from SXA Scriven or SXA MVC into Sitecore Next.js. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that application and my experience building that application. Then I'm going to talk about like some AI tools that I recently discovered. Obviously, everyone knows GitHub Copilot. I'm not sure if people have been using it more in the Sitecore community. But the other one that I'm more excited about is the Builder.io Visual Pilot. This one is basically Visual Copilot, sorry about that. This one is basically a Figma to code conversion tool, which I think like it really helps a lot accelerate our Sitecore development, especially if we don't want to wait for the UX people to finish their like converting like the designs from Figma into code. So you want to start quickly, you can just take the Figma design, convert it, and start with your Sitecore implementation. So yeah, let's jump right into the first topic. So we always hear like LLMs and GenAI and like a lot of like buzzwords on the internet, but I just want to like have a couple of slides just explain things and what does LLM means and like what constructed an LLM and like, how do you define an LLM model? So large language models are like large general purpose language models that can be pre-trained and then fine-tuned for a specific purpose. I'm going to explain this like in the next slide. Just like what does that mean? These models are basically like initially trained for general purpose to solve common language problems. So they understand language. If you like ask it a question, it knows like what you're asking. It can predict the next word. It can do like question answering, text classifications, summarization. Like a lot of people like give it a large document and it gives you back a summarization of that document, and also like text generation across different industries. These models then can be taken and then tailored into specific problems. So you have different fields like finance, entertainment. We always see like new models that specialize in like vision, generating like videos, like we've been seeing recently. So every model is like basically like it was built on top of these base general purpose models. Then like it was taken pre-trained on a different set of data for a specific field. So if we go to the next field, I just want to break down what does like large general purpose and pre-trained fine-tune mean. So when we say large, like it's very hard to explain how large these models are. So the training set sometimes goes into like the petabyte scale. So just as a reference, 1 petabyte is equal to 1 million gigabytes. So, and they have like many like petabytes of like data that they're trained on. So, and you always hear like parameters, like you see like here, like this model was trained on like 70 billion parameters or like 700 billion parameters. What does that mean? So parameters are basically the memories and the knowledge that the machine that this model learned from during the training period. It defines the skill of the model. So if this is GBTO, this means like, it's a general LLMs that specialize in GenAI, generates text, it generates images. But yeah, when it tells you like it has this many parameters, it means like it has this much knowledge that it was trained on. General purpose, that means it's this model is sufficient enough to solve common problems by understanding the human language. And it understands not only like the English language, obviously, it understands most of the common languages in the world. And because of that, because like how large and difficult to train these models, only just certain like really like few companies that can train these models. Like you have Microsoft, you have OpenAI, you have Google and Meta. These are basically the companies that have the resources to train these models. But they can create these models, and then we can use them, like pre-train them on top of that, or fine-tune them to get something that we specifically want for our application. Or you can just use whatever they came up directly with their like chat option or their API option. So when you see like pre-trained, basically like we've taken these general base models and then we pre-train them on a specific set of data, and then on top of that you can take that model and fine-tune it to your own specific usage of that model. I know it's very theoretical, so but the thing is, like, you don't need to know all of this to like start with AI. With pre-trained LLMs, things like Gemini from Google or GPT-4 from OpenAI, or even Claude from Anthropic, you don't even need to be a machine learning expert. You don't need to train any models with any training set. They have already pre-trained and fine-tuned models that you can just take and use immediately to solve your problems that you're trying to work with. All you need to think about is how to design your prompt. So how do you just design your question, or like the prompts that you send back to the large language model? Which brings us to the prompt engineering topic. So you always hear this topic in the internet, like prompt engineering, or like it's becoming like a career path right now. So what is prompt engineering? So it is the process of refining prompts that a person can input into a generative artificial intelligence (AI) service to create a desired output. So basically, like, how do you define your question or prompt so that it makes it easy for the AI service that you're working with to give you the answer that you're hoping for? You can see on the internet or YouTube like a lot of people saying like 10 prompts that helps you like solve your problems or things like that. So I'm not too sure about these videos, but like I can give you some guidelines of what to do when you're building your prompts with these GenAI models. So the first rule is basically make sure to write a clear and specific instructions with detailed context. Clear does not mean short. So the more context, the more details you give in your question to these LLMs, the better answer you get back from the ChatGPT or any other LLM. Sometimes like you ask a question and it's small and it's not clear, and it gives you a very generic answer that does look like it was generated by AI. But if you give it more context, more details, like that's when these models can produce really kind of like an answer that you're looking for. Sometimes, like if you want a structured output, especially for us developers, sometimes like we want to give it like a unstructured data and say like, hey, give me back, like a JSON format of like flight ID, name, plus like whatever like data that was given in that unstructured data. You also like hear a lot about few-shot prompting versus zero-shot prompting. So if you ask a question to ChatGPT without giving it an example, that's called zero-shot. Like you're not giving it an example or guideline of how the expected answer is supposed to be. You're just asking ChatGPT a question, and then like whatever like answer gives you back. Every time you ask it the same exact question, it might give you a random different answer because it doesn't have any memory. But if you use something called few-shot prompting, where you basically give it more of a sample of what you're expecting before you ask the question, then it kind of like gives it a guideline of like what answer you're looking for. So it gives you that answer that hopefully you're looking for. And the last thing, like keep trying, like with your prompts, like if the first one doesn't work, keep modifying it, add more details until you get the results that you need. So these are the like common like steps that I usually use, and I always get the answer I want from these LLMs. So I'm gonna do a quick demo about these topics that I just did. Let me bring my. All right. So in today's session, I'm gonna use two famous LLMs. One is called obviously ChatGPT, which you guys all are familiar with. The other one is called Claude. I'm gonna use their Sonnet LLM. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with it, but this is almost as good as ChatGPT, and sometimes I feel it's better. So I'm gonna just switch between them, but the idea is the same. Like the same instructions goes both ways. So like I said, like write clear and specific instructions. Make sure don't give it as much details as you can. I'm gonna just paste like a command that I recently actually used for creating a PowerShell script for Sitecore. And obviously, this is the most commonly used that I hear everyone is using Sitecore for, as just like writing PowerShell script. And as you can see, like it gives you a very nice, clear code. Given with the fact that I've given it like a very clear instruction of exactly what I need. So like the more details, like instructions or prompts, like the better answer you get back from these LLMs. And same thing if I try with ChatGPT, I'm gonna probably get something similar. Ask for a structured input. So sometimes, like if you have random like set of data, or not like data in a structured format in a document, so you can just upload that document to ChatGPT and say like, give me a structured output. So I'm gonna just use this as a very like dummy example, just like to show you like the capabilities of these LLMs. So generate me a list of 3 made-up books titles along with their authors and genre. Please provide them in JSON format with the following keys. So yeah, like to get like structured format, you just have to ask the LLM specifically what format you want it. So I think I forgot something here. So like this, and it immediately gives you like something that will definitely use in your application. All right, the last topic that I just wanted to show is like the few shots prompting. So this is an example of like I want to like create a Sitecore JSS component, and before I give it that question, I give it an example. So if you can see my screen, I'm not sure if you can, but in here I'm saying following this sample Sitecore JSS Next.js component. I'm just giving it the entire code of component that I usually have that it follows my standard of code. Like every company have their own standard. They have their own way of building Sitecore. So you can give it an example of a component that you have, and then say like, write me a Sitecore JSS component with Next.js type step that shows a card with a title and image and button, for example, and click. And it gives you something that exactly look like what your current like code base look like. So, right. If anyone have any questions, just feel free to just post that in that chat. And if not, I'm gonna just jump quickly into the next topic. So, so next, I'm just gonna quickly talk about something called custom GPTs. This is currently, I think, limited to just ChatGPT. But when I discovered this tool where like you can store your prompts and then reuse them again. But it's not just like storing the prompt, you're storing the guideline for ChatGPT to use every time you talk back to this custom GPT. So there are no code feature of ChatGPT that lets you customize the chatbot according to a specific way you use. So basically, like as you can see in this screen, you give it instructions. So you say like, you are a code converter, you help me do this, and like, this is the code sample that I usually expect. Make sure like whatever question I ask you, make sure to follow this guideline before you answer my question. So it's just like a guideline. You store it in ChatGPT, so it helps you every time you want to reuse it again. You just like select it and say, okay, generate me this again one more time. It lets you save a useful prompt, and you can share them with anyone. You can upload files for additional context. You can perform actions if you want to like even like talk to the third-party APIs. I haven't done that, but it's something you can do. I'm just going to quickly show you what does that mean. So in ChatGPT, and this is currently open for everyone. So if you're a free user or paid user, it's the same. You have access to this. Previously, it was only for paid users. So if you go to Explore GPTs and go to My GPT, I'm going to just show you something that I was playing around. So this one is generate just GSS component from an image. So this is like where I provided an image and just creates me a component written in Sitecore. So if I edit this, I just want to see what kind of instructions that I given this. Like act like an image to code converter. I give it 5 tips for guidelines. Like this is like what you have to import in the beginning for every component. Define this and that. These are the field types that you're supposed to use. Use JSX element instead of React.fs. So yeah, so basically this is like a save instructions. And basically every time I say like, I'm gonna use this custom GPT, and I'm gonna come here, for example, and just take a quick, right, I'm gonna take a screenshot. And you can see how easy it is. Just like I'm just going to paste this, because I'm talking currently to my custom GPT that I've selected, which have my predefined instructions of what to do with this image. I can just paste this image, and that's it. I don't have to write the same instructions or prompt again. And it knows, so it has an image, it has a caption. So it knows like how to build you a component that you can just quickly use if you don't want to worry about design. Like you can just create this component, then like do it to design it to like apply the designing elements to it. But if you want to start quickly, you could just ChatGPT for things like that.
Yeah. So Ahmed, this is really cool. So you just send a screenshot or like an image of a component, and the tool will create the code for you based on your code standards?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, I have this custom GPT that I'm talking to. Basically, every time I send any prompt, it would go back to this custom GPT and follow the instructions that I give it. And then like, you don't have to write it every time, It's just like
this is really
cool.
Guideline.
Sorry?
Yeah, this is really cool. So can we take another look into that custom GPT, Ahmed? Like, what kind of instructions you provide? Like, can anyone provide these instructions?
Anything, like you can create it, you can share it, it can be public, you can actually put it on the marketplace and everyone can search for it. So if I come back here, you have the option to create. You can actually give it a prompt to create you the instructions, but I usually just come to the configure tab. You can give it name and description. The important section is this, like this is the guideline of like your custom GPT. Like this is like the predefined instructions that you want ChatGPT to follow every time you chat with this custom GPT. So like you can, like there is no specific way to write things. Like whatever like you think is right, you should just add it as a guideline here.
Nice, really nice.
And like there are things like you can actually upload files as additional context. So if you have documentation, you want the ChatGPT to read before it answers, you can do this. Like it has never been that easy to like just customize ChatGPT to your own needs. So yeah, you can ask it to web browsing. So if you want it, like it can go back to the internet, because these models are like trained until like specific date. So after that date, it doesn't know what's going on. But you can say like, hey, yeah, for this specific information, go to this URL for information. So You can ask it for image generation. I'm not obviously using that. There is code interrupter. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but like I always check it if I have any custom GPT that is code related. So, and you can create actions. This is what I said. Like you can create integration with third-party APIs. I haven't done anything like this, but I know a lot of people are using this to create custom GPT for the public to use. But it's just something like it takes you like 5 minutes to create, and then the results are amazing. All right. Any other questions?
How it take you to create like one of these model, like this prompt?
Sorry.
Like how much time that take you to create like such as this prompt? Is it like an easy, or it take time to learn? Like for me and for any like developers, is it like worth it to spend time to use
Yeah.
the AI instead of like repeat and repeat all the component? Do you think that?
So it depends, like how much time you're saving, or like by doing this, because like you're doing this once and then like using it across the entire project. I have a lot of other things that you're gonna like really like. Not only this. This is something basic in terms of like generating code. I have things that I think you guys are gonna definitely like for like generating code that is like fully working, almost fully working from a Figma design. So this is definitely gonna help. Like like it takes you
Yeah.
probably like 5 minutes to like just configure it and then export it. And like how much time does it take you to create a component from a design? It takes probably I don't know, 4 hours at least.
Yeah.
Like a simple component with Tailwind or Bootstrap or whatever. But I mean, I use it sometimes like like I just want to build something. I don't want to wait for the feds. Just like okay, I'm gonna start building it, and then they can come in and update it. But like I just want to have a head start before like I don't want to start from scratch. I'm not a fed, so I just use AI for things that I'm not really good at.
Okay, good.
And for this custom, like it's just like natural language. There is no specific way to like write these instructions. Like as long as you're good in communication skills, you can just write whatever you want, and these LLMs will understand it as long as it's written well. All right. Next, I think I have. Okay. I have a few topics, so I'm just gonna, because of like already 30 minutes time. So it's not all only chat or like talking in a chat format with these LLMs. You can actually write code, from your applications to talk back to these models and get specific answer back and present it to your application, or like solve things like like in Sitecore you can create an API that translate content. Instead of like sending this to a translation service, there are like very advanced translation models out there that are cheap to use. Like you can just send it to English text and say like send me back in what's the equivalent in Spanish or Arabic or French. So you can build an API, a software layer or API layer that talks back to these models and get the result that you need. So, and it's not only, there are so many other models. Like we're always like familiar with these like text generation models, like GPT-4, but there are like DALL-E for image generation. There are like things that can convert audio to text, things that can convert detect text map. Like there, for example, there is a moderation. So if you have, in Sitecore, if you want to say make sure that content is like, doesn't have any sensitive or unsafe content, you can use that in your workflow and just want to make sure it doesn't go to the final workflow until the AI tells you, yeah, this looks good. An open API have different pricing. ChatGPT, there's $20 subscription if you want to be on the plus tier. But if you want to use their API, they're using something called token. So a token is almost 3/4 of a word, or basically 4 characters in English. So for example, in here, like my favorite color is red. This is like 5 tokens. or 6 because you have a dot. Sometimes the one word can be split into 2 or 3 tokens. Like for example, if you have the word like shopping, so shop is 1 token and ing is 1 token. So this is how these LLMs like kind of like interrupt our like questions and like how it outputs the answer back to us in terms of like tokens. And they have the pricing, for example, for GPT-4, or for every 1 million token as an input, it's like $5. So you can see how cheap it is. For the output, so the input is like your question, the output is the answer that comes back. For every 1 million token, that's $15. So just an idea of like how much it costs to just talk back to this APIs. So a while back, I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to this one. Had a chance to see this application that I've created. It basically it converts Sitecore SXS scripting or a Sitecore RMBC code into Next.js with TypeScript. And it was very easy to implement. You just have to talk to these their APIs and send them the right format for your prompt or question, and then it get the answer that you need and just show it on the website. So I can quickly just show you that. Okay, 1 second. All right. So no, that's not. Yeah. Quickly. Should have prepared myself more. So in this example here, like you can see, we have the option of to convert SXS scripting or MVC Razor component into Sitecore JSS Next.js format. So great. Okay. So what this basically doing is just like taking whatever like input, like either the drop-down selection here, and paste it back to the API that I created. And then I format a question in a specific format that I'm going to show and send it back to the large language model and tell it, hey, do this for me. So if I do this, it will give me this, which is like something almost like 70% usable. You probably need to come in and just modify it if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't like translate it to well enough for you. But for so far, I've seen it like 70% accurate of like what I need, or at least I'll give you 70% head start. So this is an example, like like you asked, like I mean, if, like
That's really cool.
yeah.
This is your API, right, Ahmed?
Yeah, and like I'm using my own like credits, and like just an example, like I put like $20 in this in my credits, and like so far like I've used like $10 like since like I released this. I don't know.
I think Sitecore should be invest in you.
Yeah, right.
They should invest in this tool. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is the code repo and everything you need about it. And I'm gonna quickly just show you like what is this doing behind the scenes. So I have this API. I just like minimized it small to be a smaller version. It's called Convert API. I just called it Convert Demo, just for the sake of like making this code to show you. So this is an API, just in Next.js. It receives a request, and I get the language, the source code, the model that was selected, basically like whatever represent what I've selected here, and that code, obviously. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to generate a prompt message. So this is a library function. Basically, if the language is scripting, now I'm building my user prompt, just like I was showing you on that custom GPT. So I'm just building my prompt here in code so that I can send it back to these LLMs. And there is something called system message. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, but so basically I get these messages, I prepare them, and then I create a object to talk to the OpenAI. So this is a Next.js. So there is a library for OpenAI, a chat, completion, create. I stream is just to you saw how the text was streaming, one word by one. Then I give it like what model I want to use, which is like in GPT-4 or 4.0. And then I say like the user message is the messages that I created, I just showed you. And the system message is basically the guidelines, basically to hey, act like a code converter system, like an agent or something. Temperature is basically how random you want the output to be, like, or how creative you want the LLM to be. The smaller the value, the less random, so it's more predictable every time you ask it the same question. If you give it something higher, every time it will try something new. It will try to be creative. Max token is basically what's the max token before it stops producing anything. So this is just to control how many people are using my API. I just don't want everyone just to in one day consume all of my credits that I have. So I'm just like limiting this to 4,254. Just like to show this as example how people can use this. Like in your, if you want to adopt this solution, you can just increase this to a value you think it makes sense. So this is it. This is the entire application. This is all you have to learn how to talk to ChatGPT or like GPT models or any other models. It's not It's not only OpenAI. I'm just like showing you an example for OpenAI. Like you can talk to any model that have an API available for them and build any application that you can think of. Like just can think of the possibilities that you can build for any use case that your application might need. All right. So yeah, I have the code in GitHub. So if you want to take a look, you can. So like I said, the system message is basically to instruct the model to behave in a specific way. It's like a guideline for the model. The user message is your actual prompt. Temperature, like I said, it controls the randomness, and the max tokens is what are the max tokens that are allowed. I'm going to talk about two AI tools that I recently one of them is very popular. I'm sure everyone have used GitHub Copilot, and the other one's called Builder.io Copilot or Visual Copilot. I'm not sure which one I should start with because I know we have 20 minutes, but I think I can cover it. So GitHub Copilot they're marketing this as an AI pair programmer that offer autocomplete style suggestion as you code. It's powered by LLMs developed by GitHub, OpenAI, and Microsoft. So these companies have a billion of lines of code that they have in their GitHub, and they trained it on all of the programming languages based on all of these programming languages documentation. It's available as an extension. So in this example, this is Visual Code, Visual Studio Code. There's the Copilot and the Copilot chat. If you install this, it will install this by default. You don't need to leave the your code workspace. So like you're working in Visual Code, you don't have to open a browser and go ask ChatGPT about anything. You can try it for 1 month free, and then it's at $10, I think, a month. And the nice thing about this, it's context aware. So like if you open file in the Visual Studio Code, it will take everything in these files as a context for your question. So, and even you can ask it a question about the entire workspace that you have, your entire code base. So I definitely use this the most in my day-to-day development, and recently I started looking into the other one that I'm going to talk to you about. So a quick demo. I'm going to talk about code completion, generation, and few other tools that you can use the Copilot with. And there are so many different use cases that you can do. I'm just going to do it the way that I've been using it myself. So, all right, so I'm just going to put some code here, and I have some example. So you can basically, let's say you have components, content, and I have this, right? I have this JavaScript file that I just created. Let's say it's empty. You start by saying function calculate these dates in end, and you just type in. Oh, hold on. Oh, hold on. Of course. during the demo time, GitHub is not working. Okay, now it's ready. All right, so all right, you see, like I just hit enter, and now it knows what I need to do, and it writes me everything that I need. And you can say accept, or like you can hit Control Enter to see all of the different suggestions that it might have. So okay, like you can go through all of these suggestions and say, okay, this looks nice, I want this one, and boom, you have a function that was created by AI from Visual Studio Code. You don't have to leave that. And this is not the only way. This is one of the ways that you can interact. You can click Control-I and have a chat window with Copilot. So everything you have open as a window, it will be a context for this question. So let's see, I want to say, create me a function that validates text to match phone number format with regex. All right, let's see what it does. See, it immediately gave me a quick way of doing things. You can say accept or discard. You can ask it for try again, and it can give you a different option. And you can say like the regex format, number format, and you can give it the format if you want. You can say, I don't know. I don't know. I forgot the format for the US. Yeah, and try again. I had to click into. Anyway, you get the idea. So these are one of the things that I personally use it sometimes. Like whenever like I feel like okay, I don't know how to write regex, or like I don't know how to write this function. Okay, can you help me quickly? And this saves me a trip from going to the internet and go through Stack Overflow and search for something like this. Next, there are other things that I use this for. So like, I was chatting with Mohammed and he said like I use AI sometimes to like kind of like take some code and explain it to me. I'm trying to find something that I can use it for. Let's see. So I have some API. Let's say like you just joined this project and you don't know what this is doing. Like, what is this API doing? So you can highlight all of it. Come here, say, explain this. So, goes through the entire, it gives you kind of like complete documentation of what exactly this is doing. I'm not gonna read all of this, but like it's pretty good. I mean, I've tested this a few times. Yeah, it definitely gives you what you're expecting. Very nice format, and so this is one of the things. The other thing, like let's say you're getting, with React, you're getting all of these like syntax errors, or something is not right. It's not building, or like throwing an error. So, and let's just remove this. So now, like you're building this and you have this error. Like, what is this? Like, what does it mean? Like, it says like this implicitly has any type. It cannot have any type because of our configuration does not allow that. So you can just say quick fix using Copilot. It explains the error for you and explains the answer like that you need to do. So you can explicitly specify the type of the parameter as a request from express library. No, that's not right. That's incorrect. I try again. Oh, okay. For some reason, it did it wrong this time. All right, let's go one more time. Correct. I think because I removed this one, it felt like this is, yeah. So if I try again one more time, yeah, this has to be like next API request. So I say accept, fixes the first one, come here, fix it, fixes that for me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. At least it explains the problem and the error. You know, so if the answer is not the right one, you can ask it, hey, like, this is not right, give me something else, until like you get what you need. Another thing that I like is unit testing. You can generate unit testing with this too. So from here in the chat window that you have, you can just type in test, or no, sorry, test, and say whatever you want to say to generate unit tests for, you know, this is a component that I have, origin.tsx. And if you're familiar with unit testing, it's going to use Cypress, but I mean, if you wanted to use something specific like Jest, I probably should have told it like to use Jest instead. But like you can see, like it generated like a unit test for like using Cypress, and you know, to me it looks fine. It did it for this API. Didn't do it for that file, but you can modify your prompt to be specific. This is like something that like, you know, I felt for the same mistake, because like, you know, I was preaching about like make sure like your instructions are clear, and my instructions wasn't clear, and I got the wrong answer. But if I rewrite this like saying like, hey, make sure to use Jest and make sure to do it for this file, it will give me the right unit test. But at least for now, it gave me a unit test for this API, which is still pretty good. All right, any questions?
Cool.
No, but
Really nice.
yeah, again, this is really cool, Ahmed.
Right.
I mean,
There are-
it's like you have all the AI power inside Visual Studio,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
there
it's
is
really
like
cool.
this this command workspace. You can ask it anything about your code. Like if you're like saying like, where is the authentication code? Like, I don't know what is it, like what it's stored, and it just scans the entire code base for you that you have, and just says,
Nice.
it's located here in the inside next to auth file, and that's actually true. All right, so this wraps up like the Copilot piece. I highly recommend it's like 1 month free if you want to try it and see if you can convince your company to use it. So it makes your life easier. The last thing that I want to show you is a tool that I think is very cool. It's called Visual Copilot. I think it's Visual Copilot from Builder.io. It's a Figma plugin that lets you convert Figma designs directly into code with a responsive style in mind. This is like the biggest thing. It actually generates you code that is responsive in different screens. You can select almost any of the JavaScript frameworks or like styling libraries. I've pasted a link and some screenshot, but I'm going to quickly do a demo. There are some links and all of these things, but let me. Right. So I'm currently like I'm inside like my company's Figma account, and I have this project that we're using. This is like a demo design system demo. That's where we define our like components we're going to build for the client. So this plugin, and like you just have to follow the links that I sent you. I already have it installed, so I can't show that. You have to install it, but it's pretty easy. As long as you have access to your Figma account or your like company Figma account, and you have a dev mode enabled, so you have to enable this dev mode on the design for it to work. But once you have that figured out, you can just come here and click on the section that you want to convert and go to, initially you're on here and you have to click plugin, and then you click generate code, and let's see what happens. It's building. All right, so it's building me actual like component inside Core.js as format that I can use. Still building. This is using React, Next.js, Tailwind styling, if you're familiar with that, with TypeScript. And away. And like just to show you like the selection of different options you have, you don't have to be like it can be just HTML or any other framework. It doesn't have to be Kevin. It can be site component or site JSX. Or I haven't used it, but it kind of doesn't have to be TypeScript. It can be just JavaScript. So this is the HTML, and you can see it's not perfect because like you see these corners, they're like backwards, they're just facing the same like direction. But everything else, like this is actual HTML. Like if I move this is actual HTML. This is like responsive design that I can just take and start working with. Not only that, it kind of like the nice thing that that I was able to do. Like if you click on this gear format or like gear icon, you can see you can give it more instructions, because if you don't give it any instructions, it will give you just plain React code. But what I did is very similar to what I showed you in the custom GPTs. I wrote all of the instructions that I want this to use. So
Ahmed, is that sorry? Is that how the Builder.io know how to use like Sitecore JSS? Because I know React is okay, common thing, but how does it know to use Sitecore JSS?
So this is like where I have custom instructions and match my code styling. So I'm giving all of the instructions that I want. Like act like you're a code generator that generates code written inside for JSS with Next.js, includes this blah blah blah. This is like, I'm telling you, this is the code standard that I use. Just make sure to follow it. And like you can see like all of these like instructions, they all look the same, right? I mean, like it just took me like a few days to figure out the right formula that I want to use. And then I just paste it everywhere that I want to use AI with. So I just paste it here, and this one gives you a nice option to like match my coding styling. So I just grab a very basic component that I have and just like just make sure like it has all of the possible feed. I don't know why it's not showing correctly, but it's just a component, slide component. So I just want this code to match that code, right? If I clear the instructions, it will just create me a plain
React.
And you can like on top of that, on top of like your custom instructions, you can actually write back to it. So if you don't like it, what it gave you, you can say like, I don't know, like use Next.js image, or like make it one component, or make it 3 components, or whatever. And the nice thing, this is free. As long as you have a Figma account, this is free. I think there's a limitation how many times you can use it, but so far I've been using it a lot, and it never told me anything. But they do have a price tier, but like so far, like you can use it. Builder.io is much more than this. I'm not gonna talk into. I am not using it for other things, but it's a CMS. It's a design system. But what you can use it for is just convert your Figma design directly into a responsive working Sitecore component. And it's not going to be like 100% like functional. It might be like 70% or 50%, but that's much better than 0%, right? So yeah, I mean, I can try other things, but it's basically the same. And you can like, if you don't like it, just keep customizing it by adding more prompts in here. Does that make sense? Any questions?
No questions from my side, but again, yeah, this is really cool. I think, I mean, this is gonna speed up the development.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot, right?
Hopefully. I mean, I'm feeling not everyone has been like adopting AI the way that they should be, but hopefully, I don't know.
They should, yeah, they should.
Yeah, there are so many tools out there that can confuse everyone, and it's kind of like annoying to like know how to start learning these things, because YouTube is just filled with like dummy videos that try to like teach you how to.
Yeah. Is there a percentage, Ahmed, like in your mind, like how much these tools will save you? Like, let's say that the component take around 8 hours to build from scratch.
Yeah.
How much it's going to save you to start with these tools?
It's hard to pinpoint. The more complex the component, the less that it gives you. the more like
Uh-huh.
generic the component, like components like these, like which we use a lot in Sitecore implementation, like this boxes, CTA, slides, blah blah. Yeah, definitely gonna save you above like 50%. But if you have like more complex things, interactive, like search component, yeah, that's not gonna be an easy thing for AI yet to like like generate for you. But things like
Okay.
scripts for PowerShell, things like and it's not only that. Like you saw like like the GitHub Copilot. It's not like generate you like code. It like helps you explain things. It helps you like write unit tests. It helps you fix errors or things like that. So it's not only
I mean,
just
yeah, if it saves you, I mean, up to 50%, that's really good, right? I mean, it's very helpful.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And like if you have for example, your designs are ready, just like you don't need to wait for Fed. Tell them, hey, like I'm gonna start without you, and you can like whenever like you're ready, you can join me. Just ask them
Yeah.
which design, which styling guy, like styling framework that you want to go with.
Yep.
And like I said, like you can like for any LLMs, like you're supposed to like customize it by customizing your prompt and instructions. So this way, like it gives you exactly what you want.
Nice.
All right. I think the last thing that I have, if anyone is interested, and I also like to have all of the links for any of the topics that I previously mentioned. If you want to like recommendation for courses, just to give you an idea of like more detailed stuff, I would ignore anything on YouTube. I would focus on, for me, like it was like very helpful from these two resources. One is Learn the Deep Learning AI. One is Coursera. This one is more popular. It's more generic, but it has a lot of AI courses, paid and free. This one is mostly free, I think. And this is one of the recommended courses that I took a while back. That really helped me understand how to build applications with AI. Yeah, that's it. That's the last question. Slide, and if you have any
Perfect.
questions.
Thank you, Ahmed, so much. I think I asked all the questions I have. I'm not sure, Dua or yourself, if
Thank
you
you,
have any
Ahmed.
questions, guys.
It's
Yeah, sure.
really cool tool and like cool to see like on function how it's work. So thank you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you will get a lot of reviews in this video when we
Hopefully,
publish it.
hopefully, I'm trying to like help people
Yeah.
like join the AI movement. So, all right.
All right.
That's
Thank
fun.
you so much, Ahmed, for joining us again, and looking forward to have you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.